Welcome back to Talk Solent. I'm Shan Robins. Joining me on the sofa today from near Southampton, it's Kevin Dye, and from near Waterlooville, it's Stef Nienaltowski. Now, back to you, Kevin, because you just teased us with what's going on in Shedfield Parish Council. Yes. No, I was shocked to hear that you don't even have a doctor's round there.
No, we don't. We have a doctor. We have a surgery in Bishop's Waltham and one in Wickham, so, you know, not a million miles away. But, you know, we're talking about a village that's going to be getting to the size of Denmead, where you need the infrastructure in place. The other thing I would say, we've got 47 acres of common land, and you know, we guard that with ferocity, we really do. But I'm finding that the gaps between villages, you know, they're coalescing, and really, you know, Britain is about that village is that village is that, and never the twain should meet, in my view. And the more concrete you put over grass, that's the last you ever see of that grass. It's concrete forevermore. So I think sometimes we ought to think about where we build these houses a little bit more closely.
The difficulty, though, is it's like, oh, well, I don't want them around here, I don't want them around here. Well, where are they going to go? People need to live somewhere.
Well, they do. And I'm not a NIMBYist, not in my backyard. I'm certainly not. But I just think we need to think more sensitively. And there's sites where certain buildings, some you know, affordable housing is going to be constructed really soon, and I'm not too sure whether they're in the right place. I really am not. But it's not a parish council's decision. We can have influence or dialogue, but that's about as far as it goes, Steph. I think you'll agree with that.
I do. I think there's a couple of things that may help the more rural areas of England. We're talking about, obviously, South Hampshire at the moment. If you think now about how the high streets are emptying of shops because we're shopping more on the internet, there will probably be a lot more brownfield sites becoming available.
So, yeah.
And I would want to see architects starting to give us a vision of how they could maybe turn some of those, you know, places into, you know, attractive accommodation to live in. If you come across the Rudmore roundabout and you come into Portsmouth, there is a building on the left there. I think it's called Baltic House. I think it's been empty for more than 10 years. And it's a pity that if that could not be turned into partly accommodation.
But also the accommodation is changing, isn't it? Because there are more and more people that need single person accommodation. Yes. Because more and more people are living on their own or moving out and living on them, and then they can't afford the bigger properties as well.
Yes.
But you mentioned you have 47 acres of common land.
Oh, yes.
So that's a lot of land. Common land, does that mean anyone can be on it if they had sheep and be grazing and things like that?
No, it doesn't mean that.
What does it mean
then? It's common land. It's available for people to walk on, to take their dogs on, sometimes on a lead. They can walk their horses on them, stuff like that. They can't occupy that common land at all. In fact, common land incursion is a bit of an issue, really, from time to time. But our common land, for example, has some very, very rare orchids growing. So, you know, as a custodian, the current custodian of it, so I'm the chairman of that particular part of the council, then we look very carefully at it.
But it's a lot of land. If you've only got a small village, 47 acres, how much?
There's three villages, Shan, actually. There's Shedfield, Shiddleheath and Waltham Chase.
Oh, okay, so you've all got a few acres each.
Well, you suppose you could say
17
that.
17 acres each, however much it is.
But we don't like lorries being parked on them, for example.
No. Well, I guess they're going to cross your orchids. It'd be a bit annoying.
Certainly would.
I mean, I am laughing, but it's not. It is a serious thing, isn't it? And it is. People want land, and it's kind of seems to have been proven that you need fresh air and healthy air, and getting outside, exercising, all that kind of thing. And if you're just wandering around where there's constantly build-up things with traffic fumes, that's not so good.
Absolutely.
I mean, Kevin mentioned there about this merging of town and countryside. And if anybody, or any of your listeners, ever now, you know, drive down from Waterlooville to Denmead, certainly when I moved in 21 years ago, there was a huge green gap between Waterlooville and Denmead. Now it is literally 2 fields depth, you know, and the rest of it now, the mile and a half, is now completely industrialised or accommodation, and you know, it's just really merging into one. So
I guess really, you know, it gets to the stage, am I a NIMBYist or am I trying to stop progress? We all want progress. We all want people to be employed. We want people to start businesses. And how much of a price do we have to pay for this, really? And it's not an easy answer, or a very difficult question, I should say.
No, but it's one of the things, and I don't know if the parish councils have influence on this, but where my mum lives, they've been building lots, I mean, houses. Every time one person's house is sold and their land with it, suddenly a whole estate springs up, and there's not the infrastructure around there, and I'm talking in Sussex. But the thing that is possibly the worst thing for me is they've probably made affordable housing, but they really aren't in keeping with the village. And you think, well, why did they need to make them so horrible? So you drive past them, and most people refer to it as the prison estate because it looks horrible, and the poor people have got to live there. If you're going to let them have a house, give them a nice house, please.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I don't know if you have influence on that way.
Again, I think Kevin made the point earlier, which was an excellent point. Kevin was giving his opinion, and not on behalf of the parish, as I was as well, because as Kevin knows, we're not allowed to represent the parish as a single person. There's good reasons for that. But therefore, as an opinion, if anybody knows the Denmead area, there is a particular social housing area which is at River End, and it's absolutely stunning. The architects, the build, the development, and the finishing is, you'd be proud of it if it was in, sort of Surrey or Kensington or wherever. So it can be done. Clearly, it can be done.
And affordably. Because that's the thing, no one wants to see their taxes wasted on things that they can't even afford themselves. It's that real balance, isn't it, between making sure people are everywhere, they're happy.
Indeed.
Ooh. Now then, we are going to talk about bogus council tax. Now this is our Portsmouth City Council. This is Portsmouth City Council warning that there's bogus council tax callers. Now what's happening is that someone is ringing up saying that you are entitled to a council tax refund and then trying to get your bank details for them to pay you that refund. It's nonsense, and the council are warning against that. So, quite horrible that anyone commits these kinds of frauds. We'll start with you.
Well, again, I'd say for the second time as an ex-bank manager, I've come across some of this. I'd say to all your viewers, just don't give your details to anybody. My own mother-in-law gave her details to somebody before she realised what she was doing, and we were able to stop everything before anything horrible happened. But it's a criminal offence. They're criminals, and they will try and get your details any way that they can. So beware is the best message I can give on my behalf.
Yes.
I think the key here is, we've talked about community spirits and village community spirits, and last time I was with you, we talked to Sylvia Hutchins about her time bank process, which we both agree is a great idea. This is where the people who probably are at the most vulnerable may not be aware through the social media and the channels that this is advertised through. So again, I think this is where we as parishioners and as villagers just knock on the door and tell people,
let people know.
That, because it's true. At the moment there is a high street bank that's doing an advert where one chap stands behind the other chap, and what the front chap is trying to get your details, and the chap behind saying, we wouldn't do that, we wouldn't do that. And it's a very, very simple message. But of course, if you don't see it, you don't know what's going on.
No.
So I think you're right. We've got to be very careful, because with internet banking, with so much now being done, over the internet, this can seem quite plausible, can't it?
Yes, it can. And if you aren't thinking, and it's often, then it is very difficult. So now, going back to Sylvia and Time Bank, now that's going to be happening in Denmead, isn't it?
Yes, so last time I was on, Sylvia and I, sort of sat together on this very, couch, and Sylvia and I have had one meeting now to look to actually launch Time Bank in Denmead, and we've got another meeting coming up in a week or two's time. And the idea at the moment is to launch it, and that's all because of you. Thank you.
A bit of speed dating on this here sofa.
Indeed.
So for those of you that don't know what Time Bank is in Portsmouth and in Southampton currently, and soon to be Denmead, and it's where someone who has a skill can offer, say, an hour of their time into the bank, and then they can take out a different hour. So say you were a seamstress, you could offer to do some sewing. If you were a previous banker or had some skills in form filling, you could offer to do that. And then people who need those skills can then call from the Time Bank. So that's what that is.
Yeah.
So that's quite exciting.
Yes.
It is. Can I just give a reassuring message to my wife who might be watching? When she says speed dating, she doesn't mean that, dear.
No, business speed dating.
Sorry.
That was Steph confusing me earlier. Yeah,
Sorry.
all to do with businesses, because it's great where, especially we're in a small area, if businesses can grow or develop or change, then that's brilliant, isn't it? For everyone benefits. Now, bicycling, so we were talking about being out in the fresh air. Now, you cycle, and Portsmouth City Council have been looking, actually, by chance, going through to their Facebook page, because I was looking at the Community Cycle Centre, and they advertise all sorts of things. And one of them is that Portsmouth City Council are showing that there's some cycling going on this weekend for people that want to do it. It's a 3-mile, very, very easy route. And you cycle yourself, don't you?
Yes, so I've cycled as a youngster, which is a few years ago now, and I recently took it up again on the roads. But even more recently than that, I've now bought a mountain bike, an off-road bike, and with my two retired colleagues, we're going off-road onto the bridleways, and it's just brilliant because there's Portsmouth area is fairly flat. I know Butser Hill tends to tilt a bit, but there's so many bridleways and paths you can cycle your bike on, and it's great because it's very social. You have a dog walker coming the other way or a horse rider. You stop, you chat, you move on, and it really is very good for your own health and well-being. And 2 or 3 hours passes very quickly. So I would advocate everyone to do that.
Cycling?
Not currently. I've got a bike. It hasn't seen the light of day for a little while, but I carry 40 pounds of steel around a field for 4.5 hours every weekend.
Really?
Wow.
Are you like a treasure hunter?
That's golf.
Oh, golf.
I have to carry my clubs.
That's brilliant. You haven't got your own caddy?
No, I haven't got my own caddy, unfortunately. But no, cycling, I used to enjoy cycling, and I think we're fortunate, really. It's not too hilly around here, is it?
It's not, no, not at all.
I need to dig my bike out of my neighbour's garage, actually.
Yeah, as soon as you actually get some dry weather. Right, so if any of you want to do that, then you can go to, it's Family Social Ride. It's Saturday, the 6th of February at 1 o'clock, and you can meet by the children's play area at Alexandra Park, and that's next to the Mountbatten Centre. It was very, very exciting indeed. And we're going to talk a little bit more about bicycling because we need to, just for a few seconds. We're going to talk about it. Well, how long have you been cycling?
Well, I think in stages since I was literally 5 years of age. So now I'm 60. That says 55 years. But and I stopped for a while because I ran, and of course as the knees take a bit of a pounding on the pavements, you go back to the bike. So my colleagues and I on a Saturday morning on the road do about 20 miles.
Wow, that's not something I could do. Not yet. I'm going to build up to it.